Boy, the Jaguars making some big news last night. Tyson Campbell to Cleveland, Greg Newsome to Jacksonville. What does that mean? And maybe as importantly, what does that mean for the financial flexibility that the Jaguars may now have in the future? Let's talk about all of it with Mike Ginnitti. He is the founder of Spotrac. Spotrac is, of course, the website to go to for contracts in the world of sports, and Mike is always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Mike, appreciate you joining me on short notice, man. How are you?
My pleasure. Doing well. This is a big one.
There's no doubt about it. Just first and foremost, your initial reaction when you saw Newsome to Jacksonville and Campbell to Cleveland.
Yeah, my first reaction was not only are we getting player for player, we're getting position for position. That's kind of rare in this league. That's a basketball trade. So it's a nice to see a team kind of identify that they need to upgrade this specific position, and found a partner that was looking to do a little bit of the same with some different financial implications. It's kind of a rare unicorn NFL move, especially in season here.
There's no doubt the website you co-founded in Spotrac is the website to go to when trades like this happen. All right, so the Jaguars trade Tyson Campbell to Cleveland. What will that mean as far as the big contract Campbell signed here in Jacksonville last year?
Yeah, well, they're certainly giving up on a lot of cash, unfortunately, right? They paid him almost $18 million last season in 2024, and he walks out the door having been paid about $13.5 million cash in 2025 because of the structure of this contract. And from a cap perspective, Ryan, that means about 6.8 this year and 19.5 million on the cap next year for Jacksonville. So it's not a simple move for them to make in terms of what the businesses and the finances look like, but they are foreboding next year's basically $18 million full guarantee for 2026 into a situation with Newsome where he is a pending UFA. So if you're reading the tea leaves on this, it looks financially like they were willing to give a little cash away this year to free up some options next year and improve at the cornerback position immediately, maybe for an all-in in 2025.
So long story short, for those of us that are, third grade level when it comes to this sort of thing, the Jaguars are going to eat a little bit of cash in the short term to free up more cash in the long term. Is that accurate?
At least today, right? I mean, if they're looking to sign Newsome long-term here after this, obviously that paycheck's going to be even more so than what Tyson Campbell was deserving of, because Newsome's got a higher ceiling, and I think he's playing better ball right now. But yeah, absolutely. You're foregoing 3 years of contract from Tyson Campbell for a pending UFA in Newsome, and in doing so, you're taking about an $8 million cap bath this year specifically.
Again, Mike Ginnitti, the co-founder of Spotrac, with us here on 1010XL. And that's an interesting part of this, because the thought here in Jacksonville, and we'll get to Devin Lloyd and Trayvon Walker, is that, all right, you free up this cash for maybe one or even both of those guys, but you don't factor into the equation that Newsome is also a pending free agent. And if he comes in here and does a good job in the last 12 weeks, certainly the Jaguars will want to re-sign a very good corner.
No question, and I think it's a good problem to have. My guess is they identified that Campbell was no longer really a long-term fit for them, especially with this new regime. Those kind of decisions are being made left and right. So in season, generally that move doesn't get made, but when you find a situation like Cleveland where they're starting to sell off pieces left and right themselves, this is a really nice, at least, shot in the dark for the next 13 weeks, and then what could turn into a very expensive but worthwhile extension next March.
Now, the Jaguars are 4-1. Everybody's focused on this year, and with good reason. They're one of the talks of the NFL. But if you rewind the clock back to this offseason, the Jaguars are already eating a lot of cap money this year, dead money, for the likes of Gabe Davis and Duvernay and Darby and all these guys that they released. How does the Jaguars' cap look heading into this offseason, Mike?
Yeah, they're fourth in dead cap for 2025, so you're not wrong. It was about an 8 or 9 player purge the second the new regime got involved here. So they're eating a lot of it right now this year. There's going to be more pain with that next year, unfortunately, and they've already got upwards of $42 million of dead cap allocated to 2026. But it's a salary cap that should rise to $300 million next year. So you're not breaking the bank cap-wise on Trevor Lawrence yet, or even on Josh Hines yet. So there's time to do this, there's room to do this, and there's space to do this. But you're talking about now 3 potential big fish in Walker, Lloyd, and Newsome needing extensions next season. So it does get a bit more complicated.
A couple of more from Mike Ginnitti, the co-founder of Spotrac. All right, let's begin with Trayvon Walker. Some were surprised that did not get done last offseason. This trading of Tyson Campbell, what does that potentially do to Trayvon Walker's future here?
Certainly opens the door. Okay. Yeah, he has been eligible this whole offseason, but this was more about, replacing than adding or even extending this past offseason. There was just a lot of purrs like we talked about. So I understand that the waiting game is in place, but he's done at least enough initially to get the conversation rolling for next offseason. And I understand that it may not be a number 1 overall ceiling that he's playing for anymore, but certainly long-term 2-3 year guarantees upwards of around $20 million a year. I'd put Greg Rousseau's extension in Buffalo as a really nice comp for this going forward. It was a very similar situation in Buffalo with Rousseau. Kind of took a minute for him to get going, rounded into form, and he produced enough to be a worthwhile 3-year guarantee. So I think that contract's the one to watch, and we'll see what the next 13 weeks looks like.
You know, the interesting subplot in all of this is that they did not pick up the 5th-year option on Devin Lloyd, and now he has decided to become one of the best linebackers in the National Football League. So how complicated could the Devin Lloyd situation be?
Well, I'm going to poke some holes in the 5th-year option part of it because, unfortunately, that linebacker option is all linebackers, right? So it's not an edge defender versus an off-ball linebacker situation. So it's priced for any linebacker that exists in football. So at that point in time, it didn't make financial sense to lock him into $8.8 million fully guaranteed next season, both for production and for financial reasons. But obviously, at least to start 2025, he has put himself in a situation where now we're talking about Roquan Smith numbers, right? The $20 million per year mark. I don't think we get to that point, and certainly there's time for him to come back down to earth a little bit here. But if he is a formidable center of the defense leader, captain type player, you're certainly talking about 16, 18 million per year going forward, at least on a 2 or 3 year guarantee. So would they have liked to have the 5th-year option back? Maybe, but hindsight is 2020, and I think they're going to do just fine in this.
Final moments, Mike Ginnitti, the co-founder of Spotrac, and I'll add one more name into the mix, is Travis Etienne. He is also scheduled to become a free agent at the end of the year. Etienne, I believe, is still in the top 5 of rushing 5 weeks into the year. Now he's, 5 years for a running back. We kind of know that running backs, when they get into their late 20s, you kind of worry about giving them long-term deals. But what is your thought on Etienne? I believe he's still only 25 or 26 right now.
Yeah, the age is on his side. I didn't think this one had a chance heading into 2025 just because of the up and down inconsistencies with the injuries. But there's a world where this is certainly another 2-year guarantee for him going forward. And he's not really a 5-tool running back, right? He's not one of these guys that's going to go out there and catch 7 balls along with having 29 touches total. He's not a big yards from scrimmage guy. So even mathematically, this is not a $15 million running back. Having said that, right, would he accept something in the world of what Stevenson in New England and those kind of players at about $9 million per year might be his ceiling? If that's the case, I think this is something you're looking at pretty hard if you're Liam Cohen and this Jaguars offense to keep him consistent with Trevor Lawrence, which seems to be clicking right now. And like I said, if it's only a 2-year guarantee at maybe $15 million max over the next 2, I think that's worthwhile for this Jacksonville offense.
Mike, as we wrap up, understanding you're not a fortune teller, but you're certainly much more involved in this space than anybody listening right now. If the Jaguar fan base in a perfect world wanted to re-sign Etienne, Lloyd, Newsome, and extend Walker, could they get all of that done this offseason?
Oh, no question. Yeah. They're going to have to start playing like the big boys, right? Like the Buffalo and the Kansas Cities and the Philadelphia Eagles of the world. So the structures of the contracts might have to change a little bit to push them cap down the road versus, the recent 4 or 5 years of Balky that kind of front-loaded things from his San Francisco days. So the structures will change. It'll look a little bit more like the modern NFL contract. And then you're starting to fit in a lot more bodies at one time, which they'll need. But like I said, the Lawrence contract looks good for 2026 from a cap perspective. And many of these big deals on the books haven't really popped yet in terms of their major cap hits. So it's a good time to be aggressive for Jacksonville next March.
Hacker here, and thank you so much for watching this video on the 1010XL Jaguar YouTube channel. Be sure and like, subscribe, and keep it locked right here on all the 1010XL channels on the 1010XL YouTube network.